and let us all do we can to build a better future. We're going to talk about censorship, and we're going to talk about everyone's favorite social media outlet, Facebook. I know I use Facebook really to keep in contact with my friends or my relatives. I mean, I don't use it as much as I used to back in the day. I mean, it has its purposes, but I think Facebook has, I think sooner or later it's going to end up like MySpace. But here's the thing about MySpace. Tom, in the off chance you see this, you were everybody's real friend, and we are sorry we abandoned you, buddy. Tom, we hope you're doing well. And I hope someday you could forgive us. At least he cared about us. Tom was a real one, from the window to the wall. Well, let's talk about the censorship that's happening on Facebook. Let's talk about the stuff that's going on Facebook. And let's give a huge shout out to a good friend of the show, Nico House, who's been speaking truth to power. Congress obtains emails showing the White House used unconstitutional pressure to force Facebook to take down anything relating to the vaccine content, regardless of scientific legitimacy or content. So let's play this.
Explosive revelations from the House Judiciary Committee show that Biden's White House used unconstitutional pressure to force Facebook to change their content moderation for COVID. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe this was for the best. Except they didn't ask them to flag or remove posts because they were false or misleading or providing wrongful information. They were only asked to remove posts that were considered vaccine discouraging content, not false information. In other words, you could have posted the truth. In other words, you could have posted mainstream media like many of us have. You could have posted posts about ivermectin. You could have posted posts about myocarditis. And it wouldn't have mattered because Facebook was told by the White House to remove your shit. Now we know that the White House has gone through extreme lengths to protect Big Pharma's vaccine investment. That could even mean telling Facebook to delete the truth if it meant protecting Big Pharma.
But that's not all. Remember, Facebook also took part in removing Hunter Biden's laptop. They've done it before. Here, let's listen to the analysis of, again, good, outstanding reporter, award-winning journalist, and we do invite him to be on our show as well, Glenn Greenwald.
So here's the first document that Congressman Jordan released. There you see the tweet, his explanation of it. In April 2021, a Facebook employee circulated an email for Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and COO Sheryl Sandberg writing, quote, "We are facing continued pressure from external shareholders, including the Biden White House, to remove posts." And there you see the document on the screen. And again, this is an internal Facebook communication written to the two top executives of the company by a Facebook official. It wasn't intended for public consumption. There's no motive to lie. He's trying to describe to Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg exactly what is happening. And what he says is, we are seeking your guidance on whether to take more aggressive action against certain vaccine discouraging content. We are facing continued pressure from external shareholders, including the White House and the press, to remove more COVID-19 vaccine discourse content. For example, we recently shared with the White House a list of the top 100 vaccine-related posts on Facebook in the US for the week of April 5th to April 11th. While authoritative information dominated the list, the White House was concerned that the number 3 post was a vaccine discouraging humorous meme, and they called on us to delete the meme. So it wasn't just that the government was trying to prevent citizens from raising questions. And
so that means anything was open for a chopping block. I don't want to interrupt Glenn as he's giving us analysis because it's important for all of you to hear this. But this means anytime you saw anything related to the pandemic, or dare I say anything that stepped outside the neoliberal narrative, it was going to be removed off of Facebook. Same thing on Instagram, because Facebook is also has influence over Instagram because they're all owned by Meta, which is again owned by the Zuck. This is a very frightening situation, and of course, under the previous management of Twitter before Elon Musk took over, they were on board with this immediate fast rush of censorship and suppression as well, thanks to the Twitter files. But I guess now we got the Facebook files. So any kind of information that would criticize or maybe speak out against the current narrative done by corporate media, immediately silenced.
Doubts about the vaccine, which they had every right to do. Obviously, that is an absolute First Amendment right to question the vaccine, to raise doubts about the vaccine. But in this case, it was just a mocking meme, clearly humorous, although with a point of view. And it was the number 3 most influential tweet, and therefore Facebook sharing this data with the White House, which already seems inappropriate to me, is sharing internal data about which posts are making the biggest impact. The White House in response said, we want this one gone. And you can see there that they took that pressure very seriously. It wasn't just a polite request. He was describing it as continued pressure from the White House and the press. That's the other thing. I constantly say that the most surreal aspect of American political life is that the leading activists and agitators for censorship in the United States are the media. And they get very angry when I say that. They deny that it's true, but this is exactly how they accomplish it. The tech unit at the New York Times, what people at the Washington Post like Taylor Enns, BuzzFeed, Vice, all those scummy Brooklyn digital outlets do the same thing. They see a post that they want censored. They pick up the phone, they call Facebook or Twitter or Google, and they say, we're writing a story on the fact that you're permitting material of this kind to remain on the site and the damage that is caused by it.
Case in point, the first adpocalypse. While it's not related to this, it's important to note just how the media uses its muscle. So why am I bringing up adpocalypse? Well, this is when a lot of smear tactics were being done against, again, very successful YouTuber PewDiePie. A lot of these journalists, a lot of these people out there, who are in the media, I want to be generous with this word, but, a lot of them exhibit signs of being petty or mentally ill or just jealous. Because a lot of these journalists, these people involved in these larger media outlets, including the quote unquote talent at BSNC and CNN, are always threatened by somebody who I guess is far more popular than them. And PewDiePie still is to this day a very popular and successful YouTuber. But around 2015 and 2016, there were a lot of smear tactics being done against him and other large YouTubers and influencers and all of that. And case in point, some big brain idiot at BuzzFeed, Vice, Vox, a whole bunch of them, made this horrible accusation that he was supporting the Third Reich in a video. But he was wearing a British bombardier uniform, and the video was edited by corporate media and these jagoffs at these larger establishment media outlets to present him in a negative light. Now, again, British bombardier outfit, Luftwaffe outfit. 2 different things altogether. I don't have to explain this to you. I think you guys know the difference between a British bombardier from World War II and a Luftwaffe from the Third Reich uniform. I don't have to make it any more simpler than that. And the media spin that. And of course, they went after smaller channels too, where there were some very disturbing individuals, and used that as their case of evidence. Why do you think the corporate why do you think the big tech outlets support corporate media and have the algorithm designed to favor them more? Why do you think that when you get done watching your favorite independent media outlets, you're going to be recommended CNN or MSNBC? Why do you think? Because they muscled their way in. And of course, then corporate media will say, how come you're having this stuff up? We're going to write a negative article. Of course, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the social media outlets are going to crap their pants. Thank goodness for Kick, Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, etc.
Do you have any comment? Obviously, that isn't a real journalistic inquiry. It's actually a form of activism. It's trying to pressure these big tech companies to remove that content by saying, we'll write a story that you're allowing this if you don't remove it. And that's exactly how Facebook perceives it. They're saying we're getting pressure not only from the Biden administration and the government, but from the press as well. And that's the form in which that pressure is manifest.
Now, I want to pull up this little interview here too, because it's of the Zuck himself, Honestly, I don't know if he's a lizard person or not, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe not.
So misinformation, I think, is has been a really tricky one because there are things that are kind of obviously false, right? That are maybe factual, but may not be harmful.
Come on, think, Zuck. Think.
So it's like, all right, are you gonna censor someone for just being wrong? It's if there's no kind of harm implication of what they're doing, I think that's there's a bunch of real kind of issues and challenges there. But then I think that there are other places where it is, just take some of the stuff around COVID earlier on in the pandemic, where there were, real health implications, but there hadn't been time to fully vet a bunch of the scientific assumptions. And, unfortunately, I think a lot of the kind of establishment on that, kind of waffled on a bunch of facts and, asked for a bunch of things to be censored that in retrospect ended up being, more debatable or true. And that stuff is really tough, right? And really undermines trust in that. And
yeah, so and again, just want to read from Glenn Greenwald, Mark Zuckerberg himself, knowing that all the evidence was to be immediately released, complained about the constant stream of censorship pressure from the Biden White House, knowing that Facebook was forced to censor not only debatable claims, but the ones that turned out to be true. So I want to pull up this article here, just to trigger to vote blue no matter who, people. From RT. Documents show White House pressured Facebook to censor speech. Newly unearthed documents from Facebook have revealed that the U.S. President Joe Biden's administration pressured the world's largest social media platform to censor commentary by its users, potentially violating their constitutional right to free speech. The U.S. House Judiciary Committee Chairman, Republican Jim Jordan, obtained the documents amid his panel's investigation of the administration's alleged weaponization of government. The documents prove that Facebook and Instagram censored posts and changed their moderation policies because of unconstitutional pressure from the Biden White House, Jordan claimed on Thursday. Among the evidence cited by the lawmaker was an April 2021 email from Facebook employee to top executives Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg. We're facing continued pressure from external stakeholders, including the White House and the press, to remove more of the pandemic-related content. The sender said the message noted, for example, that the White House had pushed for censoring of a humorous meme that suggested that the jabs might be unsafe. Around that same time period, Nick Clegg, Facebook's president of global affairs, sent a message informing his colleagues that Andy Savet, senior advisor of Biden on the pandemic policies, was outraged that the platform didn't take down the anti-vaccine meme. Clegg said he countered that removing the content would represent a significant incursion into traditional boundaries of free speech in the U.S., but Savet disregarded that concern and argued that the meme, would hinder the government's vaccine rollout. I want to stop here for a second. Hardlands Media got censored not once, but 8 times from 2020 all the way up until now. This is the most we've ever been censored, suppressed, silenced. You don't find this concerning? You don't find this frightening? I mean, hell, look what they're doing to do Dissidents or RBN or INN. If you think that's acceptable, no, it's not. When I say the censorship is real, you better believe me, because it is. Continuing on. Social media platforms themselves can legally choose how to restrict their content, but government intervention to influence those decisions could infringe on free speech rights. After a report last October showed that the administration had set up a portal through which federal officials could make content moderation requests to big tech, the American Civil Liberties Union said. The First Amendment bars the government from deciding for us what is true or false online or anywhere. Our government can't use private pressure to get around our constitutional rights. Jordan warned earlier this week that his committee would vote to hold Zuckerberg in contempt of Congress unless Facebook provided documents it had subpoenaed on the government interventions into content moderation. He claimed that the committee had seen through enough evidence to believe that Facebook was holding back on turning over evidence that would show it faced the same sort of government pressure that was previously revealed by Twitter. Facebook executives feared repercussions if they didn't appease the White House, Jordan said. 3 months after Biden took office, Facebook's vice president for public policy, Brian Rice, wrote in an April 2021 email that Savet's pushback felt very much like the crossroads for us, while the White House in these early days, he added. Given what is at stake here, it would also be a good idea if we could regroup and take stock of where we are in our relations with the White House and our internal message too. Another document showed that the talking points were prepared for Clegg to help smooth over relations with the administration. One of the suggestions was that he point out the company's handling of Tucker Carlson video that angered the White House. Oh, about Tucker Carlson. Again, it's really sad to see where we are at as a country, where we're in this super fast rush of censorship. If you're not scared, you should be. If you're not frightened, you should be. We live in a clown world, folks, and things aren't going to get better. When I say you need to stand for free speech, you need to stand for free speech, because it's going to get worse. And if this government, this administration, no matter who they are, Democrat or Republican, because remember, look, got to bring him up here. RFK Jr. was not only censored by this administration, but also by the Trump administration too. It doesn't matter who sits in the White House, be it Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter who controls the U.S. House of Representatives or the Senate, Democrat or Republican. Both parties are on board for censorship. And our rights as Americans, especially for our First Amendment, is being taken away from us. It can happen. And it looks like it's coming into fruition very soon. Stand for free speech.